Perfect. So, good morning, dear professional project managers, PMI current members, and maybe future members. Welcome to today's event, Fast Track Your PMO at PMI Western Michigan chapter. We are pleased to be virtual guests in Western Michigan, which is a hub for manufacturing businesses in the automotive, office furniture, aerospace, and food processing industries. These healthy business clusters enjoy access to established supply chain and raw materials, pathways for talent development, and industry support networks. Behind all of these industries stands a proper project management. And I'm Nadine, the event manager at PMO Global Institute. So today I will moderate this event. So also, please switch on your cameras. We'd like to see your smiling faces. And the PMI Western Michigan chapter did a great preparatory work. And thanks to all of you for coming to this Wednesday's morning event. I promise it will be valuable and joyful for you. So at the end of the session, we will have a quiz. We will play the Kahoot game. So everyone has a chance to win a great prize. So cheer up and stay tuned till the end. And first of all, warm welcome to the Vice President of Professional Development at PMI Western Michigan chapter, James Szymanowski, who is a PMP certified project manager with an MBA. He has a 16 years career revolved around product development engineering and project management in the automotive and office furniture industries. So, James, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. And I'm glad that we're able to collaborate these two separate and different associations that are actually pretty connected, though, too. So I love that we're collaborating together. So I'll share my screen and show just a few updates from Western Michigan Project Management Institute. So thanks for attending. So this is, we have various speakers today from various parts of the world and various time zones as well. So thanks everyone who's presenting here, who's attending as well. This will be 2 PDUs. We can send that code out in the chat feature towards the end of the presentation. So look for that. And some future meetings coming up. We have a lunch meeting in September. That's hybrid with Alyssa Cox talking about objective-oriented networking and how to build your network as a strategic asset. Also, we have a dinner meeting that's hybrid, in person and virtual. Talking about the human side of project management and also finance portion of it as well. And then a breakfast meeting in September as well. That's still to be determined. We also have a professional development day coming up in October. So that's a whole day event. Look online, sign up for that. And yeah, you can earn a lot of PDUs, meet a lot of great people, and hear some good speakers as well. And thanks to all the new members of our group here. That's what we strive to do at the West Michigan PMI board, is to serve our members, give them what they need to advance their careers, to be better and have some successful projects as well. And congratulations to all the new certifications that were awarded to these folks here. So that's not an easy task, so congratulations. And also, we're looking for additional board members. So just email us, go on our website, wmpmi.org, if you're interested in that, and we can give you some more information. Also, thanks to all our sponsors. And again, thank you to PMO Global Institute for just working together and collaborating with us to give our members what they need to advance their careers. And just check out our website too. So, so I'll move on to introducing Nadine. So Nadine is responsible for organizing the national educational webinars with PM-related communities. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this going to Kelly? I'm sorry. No, I apologize. I just got this confused. Nadine has a bachelor's in finance and also has a master's degree in international business as well. And she has a passion for working with multicultural teams and to share that knowledge of PMO with just international people, international teams through countries all over the world. So thanks, Nadine.
Thank you so much, James. It was an amazing start from agenda and gratitude to everyone. And now, dear professionals and leaders, let's dive into the greatest journey, the world of PMO and its opportunities. Now, I'd like to share my screen and roll through some slides to introduce who we are. So let's start. Today, we will learn how PMO setup works. We will learn tools and techniques to apply CB-PMO framework. Every participant will increase their visibility and become recognized within the organization and peer circle. And also everyone can make use of the best practices in PMO and increase the success rate of their projects. Also, everyone can earn 2 PDUs, 2 contact hours. And overall benefits for the audience. So all participants will get for free the CB-PMO framework. You will get access to the largest PMO community. At the end of the event, 5 lucky winners will get full year PMO Global Institute memberships, which actually cost $89, but winners will get it for free. So they will be able to download the digital copy of the PMO guidebook. Also, you will get 10% discount on PMO GI PMO certification program. Also, let me introduce who we are. PMO Global Institute is the global body for PMO certifications, representing global project management offices, including project, program, and portfolio managers involved in defining, establishing, and running high-performing PMOs in and across industry sectors. Our objective is simple: to make PMO learning available to project professionals across the globe through certifications, events, networking, and hands-on knowledge sharing. We already have members in 100 plus countries. Also, we have 70 plus partners in 60 countries. 46% of PMO directors said that their organization doesn't understand the value of project management. 68% of stakeholders perceive the PMO as bureaucratic. And now I'd like to pass the floor to our next speaker. And it will be Kelly Talsman. She is Enterprise Program Manager. Right now, she's working as a Senior Program Manager for Manufacturing Transformation Initiative, where approximately 300 machines were moved and aligned in value streams. Disciplines coordinated include construction, IT, inventory planning, customer service, and internal change management. The program was completed on time and under budget. So also she is Vice President of Education. And now I pass the floor to Kelly. Kelly, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Good morning. So let me share my screen, and if you can somebody can confirm for me that you can hear me and see me okay, or see my screen okay? All right, I'm getting all kinds of thumbs up, so that's great. So thank you very much. It's great to be here this morning. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about challenges that PMOs face in Western Michigan, which was the topic that James presented to me about a week ago and or so to prepare for this. And so as I thought about that, you know, I've been in many different project management offices over the 25, 26 years I've been managing projects. What do I see? What was really the first reaction that came to my mind in defining the challenge of the project management office? And it had to do with simply defining the value that the project management office brings to the organization that it's supporting. Because as the statistics just shared, which was a great lead in, there's so many different ways that a project management office can contribute to an organization. And some have positive impacts, some have negative impacts, and some are just purely not quite understood across the organization. And so there are three questions, three basic perspectives that I bring when I'm thinking about the value to the organization. And the first perspective simply says, what do I think, right? As the leader of the project management organization and the subject matter expert for project management, what do I think is going to bring value to my organization with respect to project management? And so typically when I am thinking through this aspect of it, the things that I consider are standard project management processes, making sure that we have a cadence, that we have unified tools, making sure that our resources have a learning path through project management. And certainly from a portfolio standpoint, making sure that I have a view into every project schedule and budget that's going on in the organization. And so this is what I think brings value to the organization that I work in right now. The second point simply says, so what does executive management think that the value is to the organization? Which in many cases is quite a bit different than what I think is bringing value. In my current case, if I'd asked my executive team, who I interact with regularly on a daily basis, what value does the enterprise PMO bring to them, they would likely say things like, you bring the glue, you're holding together different projects, you're connecting dots, you're providing a steady rhythm and a steady cadence. Sure, they want to make sure that we have all the standard processes and procedures in place, but what they want to make sure is that things are, as they like to say, tucked in, right? Connected, glued together, and they want to make sure that I have a look at every schedule and budget that's going on in our project. So from time to time, they'll call and they'll say, hey, are you familiar with project XYZ? And the answer is yes. I have the documentation stored in my area. I have the schedule stored in my area, so I can get fast project information. So the third aspect now says, okay, now what really brings value to the organization? And it's a little bit of both, right? Now, I'm not 100% right. They're not 100% right. But together, we bring forward really the best of what we're bringing to the table. So certainly, we're going to continue to be the glue and the structured rhythm of all projects. We've learned that in our organization that if the rhythm or the cadence of the meetings of a project, even down to the way that the scorecard looks, is a little off, our executives aren't quite sure how to interact with that project. And that makes them very uncomfortable, even if the project is going well. And so we will continue to provide that structure and rhythm for them. We will also make sure that we always have a view of every schedule and budget that's going on in all of our projects. But the third point, which happened to come back as really the number one answer from surveys from just the general population of our company, was, I want to know how my project or what I'm working on connects to our strategic plan, or in our case, we call it the value creation plan. What am I working on? How does it connect to the greater good? And can I see what my peers are working on as well? And so those three perspectives have to be brought into a view to build out a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan for our organization. We've got to consider all the stakeholders and what they are requiring from a PMO. So this talks a little bit about, all right, well, what are the levers then? I call them levers that I pull. And what I mean, what I'm trying to really stress here is my efforts will go up and down in these three categories, depending on the alignment with my executive team on what value that they perceive I need to bring. And so the three categories that we are constantly tactically working through are people, right? Number one, continuous education of project management, dotted line project managers. In just a moment, I'm going to talk about the decentralized nature of our current project management office. So I have quite a few dotted lines, both domestically and globally. Vendor PMs are required to follow our standards. And so we need to provide them with continuous education as well as just the general population. How do they work with the PMO? How do they interact with our tools? All of that falls under the pillar of people. With processes, we're not only the processes for project management, the standard ones that we all are familiar with, but we're the home and the keeper of other organizational processes, most notably the new product innovation process, which is the stage gate of how products get innovated or developed in our organization. So the process itself is developed, and then the PMO is responsible for making sure that it's adhered to and it's followed through each product development project. The second project, or the second type of process that we are the keeper of, is I call it transitional projects. So these are your mergers and acquisitions or moves. I think she noted that my project last year was moving and replacing 300 pieces of machinery. Well, you don't just move machinery, you move everything. You move inventory, you move systems, you move people, everything moves. So transitional projects have a standard methodology that are followed for each project that we do. Project financial management, our department directly connects every project to the capital expenditure process in our financials. And that way we can provide value to the overall enterprise just in that alone, right? Project financial management, making sure every project is managed all the way through. And then resource allocation and workload balancing, we also take care of that. The third pillar that we take care of and we balance is making sure that our projects are connected to the value creation plan and that we have a sound portfolio management. So these are the three levers that we pull, and I talk about levers increasing and decreasing in effort because you want to be very careful about not implementing too much, too soon, too fast. Sometimes very zealous project management offices will open and get started, and they will come out of the gate with all kinds of tools and requirements and things that the organization just cannot absorb and change too quickly. So there needs to be a roadmap, and that's something that you would align with your executives with. In this right here, just a couple of examples of my experiences with local companies and the different types of PMOs and some of the advantages and disadvantages that I've seen in the way that they've operated. In the centralized PMO, so in my background, I worked for Amway for 20 years, and all of these different structures are there. Amway is one of those examples where there's lots of project management offices within the organization, again, both domestically and globally. In the centralized PMO model, which was really very predominant, I would call it the research product development area of Amway, as well as when I did some work with Johnson & Johnson in their research and development, it was very much of a centralized PMO model, which does offer advantage of, you've got collaboration and you've got camaraderie, you've got better alignment of projects because we're all centralized. But some of the disadvantages of centralized project management offices is that you just flat out don't work and live with your team. And so the facilitation of that cross-functional collaboration just takes extra work. You're constantly having to book meetings and book rooms and things like that to make sure that your team is collaborating. In a decentralized PMO, which is what we have right now, where I'm working at Knapp and Volt, which is a manufacturing facility, so a little bit different application than product development and even IT implementations. But in this case, I think that really the big advantage is that the subject matter experts live with their team, and I partner and collaborate with the subject matter experts. And so I keep a higher level look at what's going on with the project, but the project managers, you might even think of them more like project coordinators, the day in and day out detailed tracking that's done inside the organization that is really supporting that project. So it's very decentralized. Yeah, I think the advantage, I see this model, I work best, I think, when the projects are more innovative or they're more innovation type projects. I think, when subject matter expertise is critical to the success, then this model works as well. Certainly one of the disadvantages is a lot of dotted lines, and I call it the influencing without authority, right? We do have standards that our dotted line PMs must follow, but at the end of the day, they don't directly report into me, and there's no direct authority. But so that may be a disadvantage. I think the one that I've worked the best in or have enjoyed the most is, I'll call it the project-based PMO. These are for very large projects. When I worked at Amway, we launched 24 new products in about 5.5 months, the Artistry Essentials and the Simply Neutralite line. And in that context, we were a co-located PMO. And as I mentioned, we lived together, ate together, sat together, everything together, very, very focused on the objectives. The last one, I had a focused project-based PMO, was for a very large Oracle implementation, also for Amway. So six go lives over about 4 years of time. So generally a project-based PMO, I think, works very well when it's a very large and a very risky, expensive project. It's a very focused model, which lends itself, I think, much more successful to time, quality, and cost. I know in the one where we did the Oracle implementation, the co-located PMO, I would say, was one of the critical success factors for the fact that every launch, we had less than 2% or 1% errors in data. It was just fantastic quality, on time, every bit of the way. The challenge to a project-based PMO is repatriation, right? In many large organizations that stand up project-based organizations, they're taking people outside of their normal job and putting them 100% into the project, which can be a really good benefit for their career, right? That could be a good career move. Oftentimes, it also means financial benefits to it in the form of a bonus. But often, when the initiative is over, the project management office is intended to disperse. So, a couple things can be challenging. One is, finding your next home, certainly. And making sure that the success of the project is noted, even though the office is disbanded. So it kind of is a difficult thing to measure, but the intention is that it ultimately disbands. So on very large, long projects, the project-based PMO has been a very good model to work within. So today what we talked about was what are the challenges? And I think, from my perspective, the key challenges are just making sure that we are providing the value that the organization is intending that we provide, and that we match or we align with our executive team on that. And we've got several levers and several different categories of work that we can increase our effort or decrease our effort to support that. And there's no one size fits all. So you can see from this that, different advantages and disadvantages could really make a difference in the way that it's set up for the application that you need. So I think that, Nadine, that's what I have. I don't know if I've gone over, if I've left time for Q&A. I'm going to turn it back over to you if you want to.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kelly, for your valuable, very detailed presentation. You've mentioned the difference between centralized, decentralized, and project-based PMO. Also has shared your huge, extensive personal experience, which is very valuable for every participant, I'm sure. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to pass the floor to James to make a short introduction of CEO of PMO Global Institute. James, the floor is yours.
Yes, thanks. And thanks again to Kelly. Yeah, I appreciate your insight into this subject. And yeah, there's just so many facets to PMOs depending on industry and company size and many other areas as well. So there's a lot of things to think about. This is where Abdullah comes in. He's an entrepreneur, an angel investor, and he's just passionate about PMOs. He's the chairman and key contributor to the PMO Guidebook Development Project. He's the CEO of PMO Global Institute, and this is the association where you can become a PMO certified professional. So take a look at their website and talk to any one of these people for more information. Abdullah was also awarded the most influential CEO of 2018, so that's a big deal. Nice job. And he's the creator and architect of the world's first artificial intelligence-based PMO software and AI-driven PMO model. He has many other award-winning products and platforms, and you can just tell he's passionate about everything PMO and sharing that with and mentoring people throughout the world. So thank you, Abdullah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, James. Really feeling proud to be here today. I was doing research on the Michigan chapter and found that you established in 1993. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And you have more than 1,000 members, and it's early morning, probably 7:30 we started, and we see a lot of morning faces, and big claps to all of you for organizing this morning show. Really appreciate, right? And today I'm not the speaker. I will be just the listener, and to witness the great speech that just the Kelly has given. And also we'll be waiting to actually hearing from Mr. Tony as well, very experienced PMO professionals. And I really like Kelly, what you have just shared is brilliant. I just taken out the 3 P's of PMO, right? People, process, and portfolio. That covers a lot. And we PMO Global Institute, we also have one registered concept called 2PG, which means policy, procedures, and governance. Policy, procedures, and governance, right? So it also covers a big chunk of the PMO space, right? Thank you, James, and organizer committee for organizing this event today as well. Just to ask a few questions before I pass it to Dr. Tony, actually. Globally, any idea how many PMP certified professionals are there? Anyone can share your comments? PMP certified professionals, how many PMP certified professionals do we have around the world? Anyone from the participants? Yep. There are also
1.5 million.
Okay, 1.5 million. Thank you. What else? Anyone from the participants? Give me a number. Anyone, give me a number. Just shoot in the chat box, or switch on your mic and tell us. Jenny said 25,000. PMP certified professionals around the world. Ross said 10,000. Good number. What else? What else? Need more numbers.
100,000?
100,000.
More.
More than that. It's a really proud moment that, globally, Jamal said 1.6 million is a good number. The number is around, as per I remember, it's a 1.2 million plus, 1.2 million. And we have PMP certified professionals across almost all countries in the world, like 206 countries in the world, right? That's a good number. So PMP, actually, we understand that it's really helping our project management communities, learnings, and all. And we are, that has been a great contribution to have developed many project management professionals around the world. But after PMP, what's next? If I even consider like 10% is upgrading themselves to be the head of the project management office, 10%. Still, it's a 1.2, almost like 100 or 150,000 professionals should be around there in the world in PMO space who are upgrading themselves into PMO, right? So, but the question is, how many certified PMO professionals do we have? And most importantly, how many certified trainers do we have? And what is happening around the world? Probably, Nadim will share that globally around 75% PMOs, get shut down within few years. And possibly one of the reason is probably we're not able to actually upgrade ourselves to be a professional PMO. So here the PMO Global Institute comes in, and our mission is to actually inspire millions of project professionals to upgrade themselves to be a PMO professionals, and actually help organizations, their careers developments, and around the communities to learn and improve our project management practices in PMO space, right? And another interesting insight I'd like to give is that, there is a model, maturity model, given by PMI also, that, anyone, any idea how many layers in a, typical PMO maturity models? Just to help you, like 5 layers. It started with, define stage, then developing stage, then basically, is growing up, and 5th layer is, optimized. 5th layer is optimized. If I, specifically tell you what are the stages, you can write it down. Is like, initial stage, developing stage, define stage, manage stage, and optimize. These 5 layers. Any idea? And normally we consider that the initial stage, normally we consider that they have a project management office, but there is no defined process or policies. Okay. Again, another statistic says globally, mid-size and large organization, about 75% enterprises, they have some kind of they have some kind of, PMOs, as Kelly mentioned, that there could be decentralized PMO, decentralized PMOs, and all these things, right? Any idea among all the PMOs around the world, this 75%, 71%, how many PMOs still belong to level 1, which is initial stage? They have no defined processes in place or no defined PMO policies. Any idea? Just shoot the number in the chat box. What is your gut feelings? Among these 5 layers, initial, developing, then define, right? Then finally optimize. How many are still belong to level 1? They have no defined processes or policies, PMO policies. Tony said 98%. Jared said 75%, good number. Dylan 87%. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? James, what do you think? What could be the number? Initial stage, how many PMOs still they belong to initial stage and they have no defined processes or policies in place?
I'm guessing 75%.
Very good, very close actually, right? As per statistics, 88% PMOs, they still belong to initial stage of PMO maturity. So do you see the opportunity here to actually to contribute in the PMO space, right? So I think this is the initiative from PMO Global Institute we have taken. We are one single shop where we have the entire PMO suite, including PMO, guidebook, processes, 2PGs, policy procedures and governance, all the SOPs, as well as the software, PMO softwares. We are in a mission to actually inspire millions of project professionals to upgrade themselves to be a good, PMO professionals. And with this note, thank you again, all the organizers. I think your president, Mr. Andrew, is not there today. Convey my gratitude to him. And thank you all, the speakers and everyone, the early, joiner who has actually joined. I see good numbers is increasing and look forward to, the next part of the sessions. Thank you very much and really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Abdullah, for this thoughtful speech. Now everyone has found something to think over more. And now, dear participants, be careful. Starting from this session, take notes, because at the end of the event, we will play a Kahoot game, and the quiz is made on the base of this content. So you will have the chance to win 1 from 5 full-year PMO Global Institute memberships. So right now, let me introduce you our next speaker, Dr. Tony Prenza. He is a highly accomplished executive and leader of information systems, technologies, and project management. He combines a doctorate in organizational leadership with a major in information systems and technologies, PMP certification, and ITIL certification, with extensive experience managing and overseeing large information systems, projects, programs, strategic planning, and seamless IT implementation. Dr. Prenza has been involved with the Project Management Institute for more than 25 years. He has been involved. He has served as vice president of PMI Puerto Rico chapter from 1998 to 2000. He also volunteered in many activities to promote project management and participated in writing PMP exam questions workshops in Dallas, Texas in 2002. Dr. Prenza has helped hundreds of project management professionals to get prepared for the PMP exam. Dr. Prenza has taught project management for several universities in the country, including Virginia Technical University, Grand Canyon University, Colorado Technical University, University of Phoenix, and currently teaching for Walden University. With more than 25 years of teaching experience in various formats, face-to-face and virtual, Dr. Prenza has developed techniques to connect with learners and students in the most efficient way. So now I hand over to Dr. Tony Prenza. Welcome.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you. I didn't know I had that many things accomplished. So let me share my screen with all of you. So everybody can see it. So let me move to the next one. So thank you, Kelly, Nadine, Jeff, James, and Abdullah for the great introduction. So the context of the conversation that we're going to have. A lot of good stuff about project management office. So I'm going to start with our approach to PMO. The P means different things for different organizations. The P in a lot of organizations means projects or program portfolio. There's different definition. But we're going to start with the PMO approach. For us, the P means purpose, and measure, and optimize. So let's elaborate a little bit in the P, because we are assuming this be challenge or set up. For some of you, maybe it's a new organization, but for others, it's revamping of the existing organization as a PMO. So we need to have a purpose of what we're going to accomplish that. From there is what we're going to think about the business objectives that we're going to implement for the organization to contribute more to the success of the company. So I look at a couple of definitions of purpose. So purpose is the desire to accomplish something. It's the aspiration. It's a very strong word. And also another definition is what we intend to accomplish or attain. So with that in mind, we're going to move forward with the rest of the presentation, but keep in mind the purpose. So we are here to accomplish something, and all of you are committed project professionals that are attending at 7:30 in the morning to this show, as Dula said. Measure. So after we define what we want to accomplish, that mission, the purpose that we have in mind, so we need to measure and finally to optimize. So we need to capture the metrics or KPIs to optimize what we want to accomplish. So this is an ongoing process that we're going to put in place because somebody said this is it's not a race, it's a marathon. So it's an ongoing process that we need to continue improving. So the optimization part is very important. As Adula mentioned about the maturity level, that is something that we consider in our framework. Just to warm up, so I'm going to start asking this question, and most of you, probably a majority of you, are involved with project management office or program or portfolio management office. So can you share in the chat a couple of KPIs that you consider important to measure the success of a project management office? Just take a minute to share that. Oh, sorry. So I see certified sponsor, quickly, return on investment, document record and control, on time completion. Who else wanna contribute? What kind of KPI? Kelly, that you are a very experienced PMO professional. Do you remember any KPI that you have in place? Roy. Actual align with expected goals, stakeholder satisfaction, important. Great. So KPI is a little different than a metric. Metric is just taking number, but KPI has a meaning. It's something that we can take action of it. So you can have a metric, but KPI is more elaborated measure of the success of the activity that we are pursuing. So this is some of the metrics or common metrics that you will encounter in a project management office. So we have metrics related or KPI related to project completion, to in project predictions, forecasting, those kind of metrics. We have metrics to improve stakeholder satisfaction, prioritize project to improve return on investment, faster time to market, resourcing. My last assignment in one company that I was global organization, so I was responsible for resource allocation. So there's a lot of metrics about capacity planning, availability of resources. Everybody is struggling with resources. So improved resource management is important, process improvement, and last but not least is about money, finances. So those are the most common KPIs that you will see in a PMO organization. Okay, Abdullah and also Nadine introduced our organization, PMO Global Institute. Most of you are PMPs, so we have been around PMIs many years. I got involved with PMI since 1998 when they released the first versions of the PMO in 1996. The PMO Global Institutes, where we also have a guides. I wish that I had that when I started building a PMO for the Y2K projects, year 2000 projects. So I was responsible to create the project management office to manage all the initiatives by that time. But I didn't have any guidelines, but we are lucky that we have a PMO guidebooks. That's like our Bible to establish the standard for project management office. And all the framework is based on what you're gonna see, all the certification that we have is based on this PMO guidebook. You're gonna see, as Nadine mentioned, so you're gonna have access to this framework. Difference to PMI. PMI has 49 processes. We have 26 processes divided in 4 layers. So we're gonna go into a little more detail about each one. So the one in greens are the foundation layer. That's where we start with the business objectives, PMO strategies, health check, maturity assessment, analyze the function that we're gonna implement, the PMO roadmap, and project challenge. In the center, blue color, so we have securable layers. So also there are 7 processes in that layer. So I'm gonna go in more detail as I move forward. The one in red are the supporting layers, and the one in the bottom is the leadership and sponsorship layers. So that's all the science about our framework that we're gonna discuss and we share with organizations around the world. To summarize, 4 layers: foundation layer, securable layer, supporting layers, and sponsorship layer. So let's go into more detail about each one, so you have an idea. So a lot of information. We have about 200 pages in our PMO guidebook, where you're gonna have all the details, guidelines on how to implement those processes. But just to have an idea, so we start with the business objectives. We mentioned the P, the purpose, so what we're trying to accomplish. PMO, and so a lot of organizations, when they think about PMO, they think about cost center. So our idea of PMO is to become profit center. How can we add value? And that's the words of today. Is everybody talking about adding business value? So business objectives is when we're gonna define and align the business objectives of the project management office or the program or portfolio management office with the business. So there is a lot of mention about alignment, strategy, direction, the company wanna move. So we need to be in that area. So after that, we know what we wanna do and how we're gonna contribute to the organization bottom line. So we move into defining the strategy. So we need to have a plan, how we're gonna get there, how we're gonna support the organization to move forward. The PMO health check, that's another process that we have where we make like a health checkup. You go to the doctor, so a health checkup, where are we? So we need to see where we stand in terms of where are the gaps, the areas for improvement opportunity. Then we go into more the maturity assessment to establish the level, as Tula was mentioning. So we are in level 1. We are starting defining policy, procedures, and processes, and then we move on to level 5. It's the idea stage of the maturity level. So we define the PMO functions. So there are different functions as a business. So you need to define what products or services are you going to put in place. So that process helps us to define those functions. And then the PMO roadmap. So after we have all the function defined, we don't gonna implement everything at once. So we need to have a roadmap. So we're gonna do one step at a time. So it's like the same how you eat an elephant. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So after that, so we had a project charter as any other project. So we are very aligned with the project management discipline, but in the PMO arena, we also have a project charter where the PMO leadership commits the contract to the organization and stakeholders. That's almost the function that usually the PMO has, basically, but that's the all kind of PMO. So we are more with the first one, ensuring alignment with strategic initiatives. That's the most important aspect of the PMO, and that's that you need to have always in your mind. Every time that you have attend at a meeting, leadership meeting, you need to have that. So how I can add more value? How I can make this project to finish faster so the company start realizing the benefits of the investment, and so on. So in the roadmap, when we get there, in the roadmap, we define the assist states. Where are we today? And what we want to move to. So to be a state, that's the main aspects of this process of the PMO roadmap. So we have the different components. So one of the component exercise that we need to do in defining the project charter is to define the mission, vision, and strategic objectives of the project management office. So together with the sponsor, so we have a winning formula and commitment to add value to the organization. And there are other components that we do in preparing the PMO charter. Moving to the next layer is the execution layer. And one important question that we always have is there any order? So I always think about this framework is a system. So all the components are equally important because all of them are connected. So it's not a orders. You can, depending on the level of maturity, so you can start with other, do some processing parallel, but all of them are equally important. So in the execution layers, Abdullah also mentions about the 2PG is when we establish the policy, procedure, or governance, or if you already have those policies and procedure in place and governance, is when you're gonna enhance them to see what is extremely necessary in order for the company to be better. Then we have the proof of concepts we mentioned the roadmap. So we're gonna have different action, but it's a statement of direction where you wanna move. But in the proof of concept, we took a small scale. So we wanna test it before we start investing a lot of resources and time. And we wanna see some quick wins. So the company and stakeholders start seeing the benefits of the project management office. So we define the KPIs, as you saw there's different KPIs that we can have in place. Roles and develop competencies. We work with people, and that was a good thing that Kelly mentions about in the first layer people. PMI also have in the domains, now they have 3 domains where they base all the science of project management. So the first domain is people. So Kelly mentioned people. So here, people is important. We work with people, so we need to develop roles and develop the competencies that we require in order to have an agile team. Not necessarily the agile methodology, but we need to have an agile team that support the business to achieve the goals of the business. We need to have how we're going to evaluate the PMO success, and our metrics, preferred metrics to have return on investment in everything we do, financially or sourcing, but there's a process to evaluate how successful are we. We need to track the performance and continuous improvement. As I say, not something that you set up the PMOs and you go home. So it's something that we always need to think about. How can we do better? How can we do better today? What can we do better for the company? So that's the continuous improvement practice. Yeah. Supporting layer. The supporting layer, so we define the artifacts, the repository that you may have or you need to have for lesson learned, any forms or methods that you consider. Stakeholder management is extremely important because we look for the stakeholder satisfaction. The stakeholders are our clients, so we need to treat them as such. So how are we going to engage the stakeholder? The environment. So environment is very important to understand the organizational structure that you have and how supporters are then about projects in the organization. So the technology stack. Today we have a lot of automation, a lot of tool. Some PM Aspire. They have the intelligence based, artificial intelligence based tool. So there's a lot of technology out there that help us to be more expedited and to move faster. So in the supporting layer, we take care of the technology stack. We take care of the team structure. And it's important also to have a succession plan because this organization stays for forever. So it's not something that you're going to establish for like a ID for the Y2K. We established the project management office for Y2K, but disappeared after the Y2K project ended. So succession planning is important about the leadership. Some organization, after they lose the leaders, so the organization also disappeared, but that should be something that we need to have in place to have a succession plan for the PMO. There's a lot of other supporting functions, the structure, and also in line with what's happening today was, so the buzzword agile. So we have also a specific practice for to support the agile, the project management of the agile development approach in the organization. Last but not least is the leadership and sponsorship. And see, any other organization, so for example, when you think in a normal organization, you have marketing, you have finance, you have operations. So we have a PMO. So the leadership should have a seat in the those strategic meetings. So because the PMO leadership need to be connected with the leadership of the organization to align goals, objectives, strategies. So it's important to have a strong presence in the entire organization. But we also need, as any project, so we need a sponsor here. We also need a sponsor, somebody that is going to be the champion for our organization, that are going to fight for us. They're going to get all the resources that we need. We base our model leadership sponsorship based on emotional intelligence model. That there's a lot of you are familiar with that model. because we work with people, and how we're going to connect is how we're going to control our emotions and take mature decisions for the well-being of the organization. So we embrace the concepts of emotional intelligence to develop our leadership model to lead PMOs or in general. I think that was my last, like, just to comment a lot of about sponsors, see how important is the role of a sponsor in this framework that we are presenting. So usually the duties that we expect from a sponsor is to align between the goals of the projects and the company's strategies and policy. So remember that the project management office, this is an organization that should be, I define the PMOs as a catalyst for the organization. It's like the organization had dreams, we made those dreams reality. So there's a lot of responsibility in the PMO. So that's the type of organization that I envision when you're going to start this journey. So as soon as the company see that the PMO is something that's going to spend more money, and you're always asking for funding to do that, no, you're going to fail. So the company should be, so the PMO is our friend. PMO is the one that is the engine that's going to take us from now, from the point B to the point A, or vice versa. So liaising with senior executive to get support, communicate goals. Communication is still important here. So we also need to have a selling point. So we need to be, we need to speak. We need to speak up in all those forums to see how are we contributing. And also the sponsor help us to ensure that the vision, governance, and the value benefits realization are communicated and materialized. With that being said, I end with a framework, so keep that in mind for the last of the session. So Nadine gonna have some questions. One of the most important, I would say, or successful PMO professional is to perform the PMO function to a high level to generate value. So everything nowadays is about generating values for the organization. With that, I pass you to Nadine. Thank you very much for the opportunity you gave me to speak today and share.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tony, for this accurate and very valuable presentation. Hope every participant has made notes. And now I'm going to pass the floor to the Vice President of Global Partnerships at PMO Global Institute, Corinne O'Brien, to speak on the topic Career in PMO. Corinne is the Vice President of Partnerships for Europe and Latin America at PMO Global Institute. She is responsible for promoting PMO learning through collaboration and partnership program. Corinne is an expert communicator who has benefited from engaging in multiple work experiences across industry verticals, including finance, education, and hospitality. She has a deep understanding of the diversity of project management, gaining cross-cultural expertise from operating in 6 countries across 3 continents over the past 16 years. Corinne understands how hard it can be to drive constructing and lasting change in organizations. By sharing the knowledge of PMO Global Institute's CB-PMO framework and guidebook, Corinne strives to change the fabric of PMOs across continents by ensuring PMOs are not simply performing, but succeeding, thriving, and speaking the same global language. Corinne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining us at this early hour. Particularly James and Kelly, you're looking really fresh for 7 a.m. I like it. I like it. I do want to ask you a question, and it will only be for a few seconds. Would you mind coming on camera, please, so we can take a group photo and we can pop this on LinkedIn and show everybody that participated? Thank you, Amy. You're a star. Thank you. Anybody else here? Kevin, Ross, Troy, Katie, Quinton, Jeremy, Jenny, Doug. Oh, Jenny's already at the office. Good morning, Jenny. Jamal, Kinga. Oh, thank you. Ginger, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So after 3, let's do a big cheesy smile. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Beautiful, beautiful. You must be a few coffees down, guys. You must be. You look better than me, and it's 1 o'clock here. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. So as Nadine explained, I am the VP of Partnerships at PMO Global Institute. Let me tell you a little bit about how we started this institute and the reasons behind it. So we've been doing a huge research project over the last 4 years or so. We've interviewed over 10,000 project managers in over 150 countries. And the feedback that we got is that the challenges within the PMO space, there are many, but they are absolutely fixable with the right information, the right tools, and the right support. So this is how PMO Global Institute was born. So who here is working in a PMO at this moment in time? Can you please write PMO in the chat box, please? Let me have a look at the West Michigan PMOs. Here we go. Doug? Kelly, of course, Katie, wow, Ross, Ginger, Troy, fantastic, fantastic. There's a few PMOs here, and I'm sure that your career path in the future is to go into the PMO space also. As we said, it's the next step from being a project manager to actually running a PMO, being a PMO lead. So let me just share my screen with you. I'm going to show you a few of the positions that you could take in the future within the PMO space. So starting as a member of staff within a PMO, this of course includes project managers. The next step to be a PMO trainer or coach. So we have our wonderful authorized instructor for the CB PMO certification with us today. This is Dr. Tony Prensa. Absolutely, we need to coach and mentor within the PMO space. This is about training, capacity building, making sure that everybody's on the same page and aligned with the business objective within the PMO space. Then we have PMO officers, PMO managers, PMO directors, and eventually PMO sponsors. So here are just a few roles that you could have in the future within the PMO space. So let me tell you how we can support you at PMO Global Institute. So the first way is to become, this is completely free, and with this you will receive your copy of the CB PMO framework. Today 5 of you are going to win a paid membership. This is such a fantastic prize. With this prize you can actually download your own version of the PMO guidebook. Here it is in the flesh. It's a beautiful book. It's a very, very practical guide written by contributors on every single continent. So please wait until the end and try and win this amazing prize. So this is the paid membership. If everybody can just take a minute to sign up, I think, Nadine, have you shared in the chat box? Fantastic, thank you. There's lots of other benefits here with the free membership. You will receive newsletters, success stories, lessons learned, things that are going on within your own PMO community locally. So please sign up for that free membership. That's number 1. Number 2, you can become a certified CB PMO consultant. What does this mean? It means that you will learn how to implement and run a successful PMO using the PMO guidebook and the PMO framework. You'll be able to have the tools to do those maturity assessments, to evaluate ROI, to define those KPIs within the PMO space. It's a 21-hour course, and Dr. Tony will be having his training course very, very soon. So let me put Tony's LinkedIn. You can contact him here regarding his next training program. So this is the second way to become a CB PMO consultant. Okay. The third way, do you have an entrepreneurial mindset? Do you want to be one of those creators of change within the PMO space in your community? So becoming a business partner with PMOGI, this means that you will be an authorized instructor. With the partnership, we support you in your own training business, but also to become an independent PMO consultant. This is a fantastic opportunity. It gives you recognition within your community, and with our support, you will absolutely to succeed in your own PMO business. So thank you very much, guys. Everybody sign up now, please, for that free membership, and I'll pass you back to Nadine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Corinne, for letting know us how we can be promoted in our career ladder. So, and now actually we have finished our main session. So it's time to QA part. I have received one question. So let me ask it to Dr. Tony. What is the first step in trying to create PMO office from the ground up, where previous IT PMs and business PM will be merged into one?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I had a challenge many years ago for a big company that I work in Puerto Rico. They were 14 organizations. So the challenge that the president of the company gave me was how we combine those 14 different types of doing business in a single one. So the idea was how each organization has something of values that I can take from. And so I came up with that I called by that time a business development life cycle. The business development life cycle was a merge of all the best of each one, because a lot of organizations, so there were some processes that were repeated. So but I take a lot of practice also for the best practice in the world, from PMI, ITIL, ISO, all those organizations that have practices. So I come up with a single life cycle to my business. So that life cycle contains how to manage projects, how to manage all the cell life cycle, because that was a software organization, but also to serve the biggest bank. So our first customer was the biggest bank in the country. So what I say in answer to those questions is that so first you need to start understanding what the organization wants to accomplish. So we know, because project management has been around for a long time, so we know everything about the platform, what process we can have in place. So that's what I would suggest, to start understanding what the organization wants to accomplish, and then design and create the processes that you consider going to be necessary to achieve the goal of the organization. I don't know if that answered the question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony. So does anyone has any other questions? You can unmute yourself and ask directly, please.
In the jingle?
Or you can also type it in the chat box.
See that Jinger has a question.
So does anyone has any other questions? In my chat box, I don't have anything. Everyone is shy.
I like that the different stages of maturity of a PMO. Could you, is there anyone that can maybe talk further into that and maybe discuss maybe challenges of going from different levels to transitioning to different levels, and maybe the time it takes to go from first to fifth?
Yeah, we have a very specific guidelines to how to conduct the PMO maturity assessment. After we had the findings, so we enter into the recommendation. From there, because as I mentioned before, it's a journey. It's not something that you're gonna do in one day. So you establish your short, medium, and long-term goals, how you're gonna go from point A to point B. And that should be managed as a project also, how you're gonna accomplish that, because there's a lot of steps and you need to have the patience and also to get there. But the most important thing, so the maturity level is how you're going to align the PMO organization with the strategic objective of the business. That you always need to have that in mind. How can we add values? It's not because maybe you want to have one of the things that I have in all the PMO is first you want to have all the processes in place, but maybe it's to have a lot of paperwork and those kind of things doesn't add any value. So what is the most important things to get there? I think that there's another question in the chat.
Yeah,
So
from Jeremy.
If I may add with Dr. Tony, if I may add.
Yeah, sure.
James, those are very good questions, right? So you see, the surprising fact that we have figured out that there is no definite timeline, transitioning from one layer to another layer. We have seen many PMOs, they are probably in supportive layer for many years. They are into this, initial stage for last, 10, 15 years even. And it all depends on the maturity of the organizations, the stakeholder awareness and the need. Do they really want to, take up these challenges to upgrade themselves, right? But however, I know in our PMO guidebook, you'll find that there is a maturity assessment tool, right? And also we have some quick, PMO tests to see where they belong. Then we recommend to actually have chats with the management to see their needs, their pains, their challenges, note it down, prepare a roadmap, talk with the management. And the roadmap itself is a kind of negotiation with the management that, today I'm here, in next 1 year and 2 years, where we want to go. And that needs to be, a mutual understanding and agreement between the PMOs as well as the management and their need. In many of the cases, we have seen that many of the respondents said, many of the cases management, they don't want to go to the next level, right? Or even though they try to be in the next level, there are issues in the capacity of the PMO and the project managers and the team itself, right? So it goes, I think it's more like POC and, kind of agile, that we move 3 to 6 months and 1 year, in the roadmap of the PMO, how it goes, then do the lessons learned, then define again where you want to move to the next 1 and 2 years. It's a kind of journey of the thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, for your additional information. And we have the next one question. Do your PMO resources address agile product development, lean portfolio management?
Right. Yeah, so we mentioned we embrace all the philosophy of agile development, but we are a facilitator, so we are in the organization to make things happen. So we support the agile team with tools, with knowledge, guidance, leadership, and those kind of things in order to the agile team be successful. But in our guidebook, so we have a very detailed process of how we gonna do that. So I would say, yes, we have our resources to support the agile development.
I think
Yeah,
what's
just to add with, sorry, just to add with Dr. Tony that, we have another exclusive session, signature session on Agile PMO. And actually, hopefully by the end of this year, the last quarter, PMO Global Institute also launching the Agile Certified PMO Professionals credentials also. That will be a very interesting one. Research team is working on it, but I think maybe next quarter, we can organize another events on Agile PMO, which is a very interesting one. And just to say that, the framework that we have, the CVPMO framework, itself designed based on an Agile philosophy. It's a step-by-step process. It's not rigid. You go one step, learn from there, then you move to the next layer, right? So this is how the whole Agile, the framework that we have is itself is kind of Agile kind of framework. Kelly, please. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I think, from my perspective, we do, our PMO does embrace Agile on projects. What's important for me is that at the PMO level, project by project, we recognize and define very quickly what is the best methodology for that particular project. So it's not, again, it's not a one size fits all. So we have a beginning business approval process, business case approval. And at the time that the business case comes to the executives, we decide right then and there, is this going to be more of an agile application or is this going to be a waterfall application, and why, right? So we plug it in to the right methodology as early as we possibly can. But one of the comments I'm just going to throw out, this may be a different angle, but one of the comments I was thinking of is I find the statistic really interesting. About 68, I think it was 68% of the people find the PMO to be bureaucratic, right? And it's certainly not like I haven't dealt with this in 25 years. But I have found a different hook on the bureaucratic that now begins to point that particular aspect back to a positive than a negative. So I really like the pillar of policy, procedure, and governance. And that is the way that I term it with my PMO is pretend that the auditor is about to walk in your door. Now that's not an idle threat, right? Because I've been through in about 10 projects, I would say dozens of audits, internal and external. And what they're auditing is exactly that: policies, procedures, and governance, right? They may be looking at data on one end or the other, but what they're going to tear apart is, did you get the right approvals? Did you follow the right steps? Is everything documented correctly? And so this notion of bureaucratic can actually turn into a positive really to the organization when you demonstrate that one of your values is to be that frontline position to the auditor that just walked in and they want to get all of your documentation to review. So sometimes it's just plain marketing, right? How do you position
Exactly.
what you do? Yeah.
Yeah, no one want to face their auditors. Somebody talk to them.
Thank you so much. Actually, Kelly, don't mute yourself because the next one question is from our participant who wants to hear from others on this call that lead PMO their best advice that they have learned. So maybe Kelly, you can share and give us advice. Yeah.
Best advice. Oh, I say this kind of tongue in cheek. Best advice I got was actually from my father, who always said, "Don't forget who writes the checks." Right. And that we get so busy with right, policies, procedures, what do we have to do, that sometimes we forget the CEO of the company, and he's standing there waiting for us to help him with something. And we're just focused on the other road. So I think, the best advice I can is just, stakeholder management. Just understand who your stakeholders are and what they want from you, and don't lose sight of the goal, right? What they want, what they need. So I don't know if that fits in what you were thinking, but
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
that's
much.
a good one.
So now I don't have any extra questions in our chat box. So the last call, maybe anyone would like to ask the question directly.